Godly status. This is probably one of the only terms that can actually be used to describe the power of someone like Son Goku, the mightiest warrior within the Dragon Ball cosmos. Goku, within his first major battle within Dragon Ball Super, clashed with Beerus, not only posing a threat to something as vast and large as the living world, but the shockwaves that were stated to rip apart the living world universe actually reach as far as the Kaioshin realm, which actually exists outside of the macrocosm, almost looking down on it in a way. We are not only given the stakes of the clashes, but we're actually given a specific amount of punches it would actually take to finish this universe off, with Kabito Kai actually specifying 3 punches as the amount it would actually take to fully destroy it. Just for reference, the Dragon Ball universe isn't actually one universe, although it's always referred to as such. What it is, as described by databooks like Daisenshu, which has a team which Toriyama, the creator of the series, actually claims that this team is more credible than he himself, at least when it comes to the cosmology of Dragon Ball. It's something called a macrocosm. What this means is it's essentially a structure with several complexities, such as the living world universe, which is where Earth resides, but also other planes of existence that exist within this macrocosm, like Otherworld or the Afterlife, with the Afterlife being a distinct temporal and spatial realm separate from the living world. Similarly, the hyperbolic time chamber, as the name suggests, operates on its own timescale in comparison to the actual mortal universe, and is regarded as its own dimension. We actually know several of these time chambers exist within said mortal universe, as Frieza, later on in the Super manga, had actually trained within one for 10 years. These time chambers are actually considered the lesser dimensions within the living world. This is because of the fact that the alternate dimension actually exists on the other side of the living world, almost like 2 sides of the same coin. This is what is considered to be the demon realm, essentially meaning that there's almost like a duplicate alongside this mortal universe. This, of course, is ignoring the size of the living universe, which, using these same guidebooks we referred to earlier, actually claims that this universe isn't like our own and is actually infinitely endless, with numerous statements claiming that an uncountable amount of stars and galaxies exist within it, as well as being called infinitely expansive. Expansive by definition means covering a large area, which in this case is actually an infinite area. Some people may contend that the Dragon Ball universe isn't infinite, with statements like Bulma claiming there's an edge and such. However, what people tend to ignore are things like Jocko actually questioning her statement about the universe having an edge, with him once again within the manga actually claiming that the size of the universe is incomprehensible, with it containing countless numbers of galaxies. Heaven is also not only incredibly vast, but is actually stated to be the same size of the aforementioned living universe, the same universe that is infinitely expansive. Hell is also stated to be larger than Heaven, which is the same size as the living world. This is actually lowballing when you consider the fact that it doesn't merely state that Hell is larger, but actually emphasizes the difference in size. This is mainly possible due to what is known as Aleph nulls within mathematics, or to kind of simplify that, countable infinities. Aleph null represents the size or countability of the set of natural numbers, 0, 1, 2, or 3. It is the smallest infinite cardinal number and is used to compare the sizes of different infinite sets. It means that the set of natural numbers can be paired with the positive integers in a one-to-one manner. Aleph null is a way to describe the idea of countable infinity, which basically what I'm saying is that Hell being larger than an already infinitely sized universe isn't impossible and is actually possible via mathematical equations. The Kaio realm, unlike Hell, is actually the smallest body within the macrocosm, actually being 1/10 the size of it. If you divide an infinity by 10, you will still have the result of infinity, meaning that although this is probably the smallest body within the macrocosm, it's still theoretically infinitely larger than even our own universe. And all of this was going to be destroyed in just 3 blows by Goku, as well as the God of Destruction Beerus, and this is the very beginning of Dragon Ball Super, qualifying Goku for what we call in the power scaling community infinitely 4th dimensional or low multiversal. We can actually take this a step further and use several scans that indicate that the afterlife within Dragon Ball is a higher dimensional plane of existence. If we consider the various dimensions within the living world universe, this would qualify the afterlife to be infinitely 5th dimensional or low complex multiversal. This isn't terribly inconsistent and actually has a wide variety of scans actually proving this further, with certain promotional guides actually double downing on this particular afterlife scan, stating that the other world is a higher dimension. The only real problem comes when you consider that the story of Dragon Ball, as well as the idea of Buddhism, is a constant inspiration within the series, or more specifically, Journey to the West, with Goku being based off his son Wukong, and the idea of a higher dimensional afterlife within Buddhism is actually just in reference to a spiritual transcendence and not actually being higher dimensional. So I would take this 5D scan with a grain of salt, not actually at face value, although I'll leave it up to your interpretation. After the clashes that nearly broke the entire universe, Goku eventually loses his god form and reverts back to Super Saiyan 1, with Beerus then stating that regardless of whether he actually lost his god form, his god power is actually retained within his Super Saiyan form due to his body learning from the experience of being a god. This is actually heavily reinforced within the context of the series, especially within the Tournament of Power arc. Within this arc, we actually see Goku build up a Genki Dama using all of the Universe 7 fighters' energy, to which Jiren the Grey actually pushes this entire Spirit Bomb back with his mere gaze alone. This actually pushes Goku to not only go into his strongest Super Saiyan form, or Super Saiyan Blue, which is massively beyond a fusion level lamp in itself, which I'll expand on a little bit later, and actually pushes Goku to use a limit-breaking technique taught to him by the North Kai, called Kaioken. Goku goes beyond this, actually amping himself by 20 times on top of his Super Saiyan Blue transformation. All this really does is force Jiren to use both of his arms rather than just Ki-Eye it. The Genki Dama that was meant for Jiren actually instead engulfs Goku, as Jiren's power was simply too much for even this Blue Kaioken times 20 Spirit Bomb. This pushes Goku into what we now know is the state that surpasses even the Gods of Destruction, Ultra Instinct Omen. This form actually separates the body from the mind, allowing the body to act on its own will. In real life martial arts, this is what's known as a flow state, as interesting as it may sound. Just to get a grasp at how powerful base Jiren truly is, there are actually several statements all including the fact that Jiren is actually the strongest threat that Goku has ever faced. This would include the likes of Infinite Zamasu, who literally merged with the entirety of Universe 7 and was seeping through timelines. Yet Jiren is a threat that is beyond this. This becomes even more apparent when you use promotional guides that state that Jiren, not even in his full power Fury mode, is still a being beyond the Gods of Destruction, plural. This is of course a base Jiren, as I mentioned earlier, which Goku in Omen 1 was able to fight on par with this Jiren, even if it was only for a little bit. Just as a quick side note, it's actually stated that Jiren merely walking is capable of shaking the entire world of Void, which is said to be an infinite space of infinite nothingness. Goku in Ultra Instinct Omen is capable of doing this by literally existing, as crazy as it may sound. This one taste of Ultra Instinct Omen was enough to amp Goku by several times, with Kefla actually being stated to rival the power of the Universe 7 Spirit Bomb that engulfed Goku earlier in the tournament. And a fatigued Goku in base Blue is able to fight on par with the same Kefla, meaning he would have surpassed his Blue times 10 Kaioken with the added energy of the Spirit Bomb that had all of Universe 7's energy. And he's now able to fight that in base Blue without the amps that Kaioken actually gives. This fatigued Goku would eventually fall short when fighting Kefla, and this would eventually lead to the second awakening of Ultra Instinct. So if we assume base Goku is a 1, and we give him the lowballed Super Saiyan interpretations, which it's a lowball because even Toriyama agrees that after the Frieza saga, the Super Saiyan amp increases so much that it becomes impossible to actually calculate on a numerical scale, but we'll actually ignore that for this. This would make Super Saiyan 3 Goku a 400 if we lowball again and give Super Saiyan God a 4 times amp off of Super Saiyan 3, which it's a lowball because even Goku agrees that fusing with the Potara into Vegito, which is A times B or Goku times Vegeta, wouldn't be enough to fight Beerus, yet Super Saiyan God is able to fight on par with him. This would make God Goku a 1600, or 4 times off of Super Saiyan 3. We then need to give him the Super Saiyan amp, as Super Saiyan Blue is stacking Super Saiyan on top of God Ki, which makes Blue a 80,000 times amp off of base Goku. And then we give him the 20 times amp from Kaioken times 20 when he was using the Spirit Bomb, which then makes Goku a 1.6 million. He then surpassed this in base Blue, as we went over, with Kefla pretty much just being as strong as a Spirit Bomb, meaning base Blue Goku before Ultra Instinct Omen 2 should be a 1.6 million. If we lowball this and say Omen 2 is only twice as strong as Kaioken times 20, which it's far superior and this is actually atrociously low, would make Goku a 3,200,000 if he used Omen 2 at this point. Jiren, after Goku versus Kefla, is still actually convinced that Goku is stronger than he was at any point during the tournament prior to the statement, which means he should actually be superior to Omen 2 in base blue when he fights Jiren the second time. Vegeta then unlocks Blue Evolution and Goku goes times 20 Kaioken, which means they are now 20 times stronger than Kefla, who, if she actually landed a hit on Omen 2 Goku, would have actually killed Goku. A still heavily suppressed Jiren is still shown rolling the same Goku and Vegeta, actually pushing Goku to rethink the stakes of the tournament, until he eventually unlocks Omen 3, which again is vastly superior to Omen 2, that Kefla could one-shot. If we assume that Omen 3 is a 2 times amp off of Omen 2, where he then masters the Omen and unlocks the full power of Ultra Instinct, and again, assuming that MUI is a 2 times amp off of Omen 3 is logical, considering he's able to roll the same Jiren, who he was fighting on par with in Omen 3, meaning the sheer difference between base Goku from the beginning of the tournament and mastered Ultra Instinct Goku at the end of the tournament is over 12 million times, in just that 46 minutes that the tournament actually occurred over. And this is ignoring logical amps, and this is going by the bare minimum when it actually comes to the amps. And that one that we discussed at the very beginning of the video is base Goku at the start of the tournament, who is vastly superior to the God form Goku that nearly wiped away an entire macrocosm by clashing with Beerus. If you ended up enjoying this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and let me know who you'd like me to cover in a future video. My next video is probably my most anticipated video on this channel, and it's Xeno Goku versus the Nasuverse. A lot of work went into that video, mostly due to my line of scaling changing over time and not being satisfied with what I wrote, but I believe I finally got it down, so be on the lookout for that video, and bye.